everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have a book haul for you. I have already finished the books that I had from my previous book haul, so I decided to treat myself to some new ones, and I have already unboxed a few of them, and then I also have a box of new books which I haven't put my eyes on yet. So I'm excited to do that with you on camera because I want to feel these books and smell them and all these things. So let's get started. Let me start with the books I have already unboxed, and in that bunch I would like to start with some beautiful hardbacks because you know that I like my hardbacks for my collection. The first book I decided to purchase was actually a book I was very skeptical about, and I still am, but in the end I decided to just go for it, and also it's a beautiful novel. So anyway, the book is American War, a novel by Omar El Akkad, which looks like this, and I think it's gorgeous. It also has deckled edges. I was intrigued to read this novel because apparently it's about America in a post-apocalyptic world. It's going to be very brutal and dark and macabre, I believe, and I'm also sure that it's one of those novels that will make me feel depressed inside and hopeless. But for some reason, I enjoy reading those books because they remind me that we need to enjoy our world today and we need to be happy about how we live right now. So yeah, that's the first book, which is super exciting in my eyes. Let me know in the comments if you've read it and if it's any good. The next two books were part of my bookies wish list, and if I show you this, then maybe you might already be able to guess which books it is, because I'm obviously talking about the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first book, Six of Crows, which comes with black pages, and this is the second one, the last one, Crooked Kingdom, which comes with gorgeous red pages. Now, I obviously didn't buy these books because of their beauty. I bought them because it's about a heist and it's a young adult fantasy series, and there is something about that genre. I love it, and sometimes I just need it. So recently I have been in the need for some young adult fantasy, and I have heard excellent things about this duology. So here we have it, and they are going to look so amazing in my collection. For some reason I decided to get quite a lot of young adult in this haul. Not all of it, but at least like 4 or 5 books. The next one being another one of those. This is The 1,000th Floor by Catherine McGee. I was personally recommended this book by a friend of mine, and she told me that it is kind of like Gossip Girl. If you watched that show, I watched some of it, not all of it. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it's kind of like that show, and then it's set in a futuristic world in which every city is built upon high buildings, very, very tall buildings, which are thousands of floors high. So that sounds interesting, and apparently in the very first chapter we hear about a woman who decides to commit suicide and jump out from one of these buildings. I'm not sure about that, but I believe that's how it goes in the beginning. And once again, a gorgeous book with an amazing spine. Next book is by one of my absolute favorite authors, and that is Haruki Murakami's Windswept Pinball. I believe this one is a compilation of 2 short stories, so that's going to be interesting because I haven't previously read any short story of his. But I'm still excited. I actually randomly discovered this book on a friend of mine's bookshelves. I didn't know that he had published this one, and I didn't know that it was going to be this gorgeous. So as soon as I saw it, I grabbed it and read about it, and I knew I had to have it myself. Now let's continue with some paperbacks. The next one I decided to get for myself is Heft by Liz Moore, and that is uniquely because of another book I've read of hers, which is obviously The Unseen World, which I read last month and loved it. This book is amazing. So I went online and checked out what else she has written, and this is one of those. Now, there were other covers to go for this book, but I decided to get this specific one because it looks so cozy and it reminds me of Brooklyn in some way, and also autumn, obviously. The next paperback is also one of those that is by an author that I have read one one book from previously and loved, and that is Hanya Yanagihara, The People in the Trees. This book is surprisingly thin. I thought there was going to be a 500-page paperback, but it is, well, this edition is about 360 pages, but the font is very small and very dense, so for those of you who don't like that, I just warn you. But I do like this edition, I do like this color. And obviously the other book I was talking about is A Little Life, another one of my favorite books. So I knew I had to read more by this author, and this is my choice. I believe this is her debut novel. Next I have another young adult novel which has just been published, and I believe it's a very summery kind of story, so this one is perfect for reading during this summer, and that is The Whole Thing Together by Anne Brashares, who is the author of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series, which I haven't read, but I have watched the movies and they are adorable. This is going to be interesting. It's about this summer beach house that several families share, but for some reason they can't agree on who is to live there when. So apparently in this book 2 of the families live there together, and then it's about the teenagers and how they survive this summer together. Next book is actually a Danish cover, but it has also been published in English, and that is Chocolate for Breakfast by Pamela Moore. This is not a new book. This one is considered a classic, I believe. Let me check. It is from 1956, so it is quite, well, not an old book, but it isn't new at least. This is another one of those novels that I was personally recommended from a friend. It's about this young girl who goes to a school and then she falls in love with her teacher, who is also a woman, and that's all I know. But based on my friend's recommendations, whom I trust, this is going to be an amazing story, and also I believe a touching story. Now this is one of those paperbacks that I can truly appreciate because it comes with these inside flaps. It has a nice feel to it, it is pretty solid, and it is just a gorgeous cover and a gorgeous edition. And that leads me to the last book that I have to show you, which I've already unboxed. So we will soon get to the ones I haven't seen myself yet. But before we do that, let me show you The Clay Girl by Heather Tucker. Now, Mercedes, if you're watching this video, you know that you're the person who convinced me to buy and read this story. Because Mercedes, I will put her link down below, she read this one recently and she claimed it her favorite book of this year so far. And she did a video in which she showed us her reaction after having finished this book. And that is the reaction that sold me on it, and I knew I had to get it. I did read a synopsis of it when I ordered it, obviously, and apparently it's about a girl and a family, and it's going to be a heartbreaking story. Maybe it's also going to be about abuse. I'm not sure about that, but definitely a book I would want to read. So now we have gotten to the part which I personally am the most excited about, because this morning I was correcting papers, which I've done all day, and I'm still in the process of doing that. I'm not done yet, but I decided to take a break because the mailman arrived with this box. And it contains the last 4 books that I have purchased for myself this month. So I really can't wait any longer to open this box and see what's inside. Okay, so the box is now open, and the first thing I see is obviously paper. Maybe Zeus, my cat, wants to come and play. Okay, so we have the 4 books I was anticipating, and let me just grab the first one that I see, which is a very pink book, and I like it. This is No One Can Pronounce My Name by Rakesh Satyal. This book I was so intrigued about when I read about it, because apparently it's a very different kind of story about an Indian family who lives in America. And it's about, I believe, these culture clashes that they experience, which I find really fascinating. And I also think, which I'm not sure about, but I think it's written in a humoristic manner, which sounds super appealing to me. So, but definitely this book is so colorful, So beautiful. It's just blue on the inside, but on the outside it definitely catches your eye. Next book is also a hardback, and I haven't seen the cover yet, but wow, this book, I knew it was going to be gorgeous, but seriously, this is gorgeousness in a book. So this one is Idaho by Emily Roskovich. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. And this one, I want to say it's about birds, because that's what I remember. A family who goes to an island and explore birds, which sounds super boring, but I think it's kind of I don't know if it's a mystery book, but there is something peculiar going on which intrigued me, and also this cover I knew I had to have. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Like this. The cover is definitely the prettiest. So far, 2 very pretty books. I am very satisfied. Next book is also a hardback, and this is another one of those young adult books which I decided to get because, let me show you another book. Last month I read and loved The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, which is a young adult book about race and injustice. And based on this, I knew I had to read more about this subject. And then I discovered this book, which is American Street by Ibi Zoboi. This one is about a young American who is, who is a girl from Haiti. And it's about her life growing up in America, being of a different race, I believe. This book is obviously stunning, and this spine is amazing. As far as I've heard, this one is not as much about race as the other one was. This is also very much about her everyday life and her struggles as a teenager. And I think it's going to be a good, simple, but also interesting story to read during the summertime. And let's see what it looks like on the inside. And that leads me to the very last book in this haul, and that is Strange Heart Beating by Ellie Goldstone, which is another one of those amazing paperbacks with inside pages, inside flaps I think they're called, which has a good quality to it. And now my cat Zeus is playing with the paper. In case you're hearing any weird noises, I can't prevent him from being a cat. This book sounds so interesting. It's an adult novel, and it's about this woman who is one day killed by a swan, and obviously that's tragic. But then it's about her husband who is left alone and who discovers some secrets of hers that obviously makes the plot go forward and reveals some interesting things about this woman and about their relationship. This is a very thin book, which I did know, but I'm still a little bit surprised. So this one will be perfect for taking with me to the beach or to the park or wherever I want to go and read. The box is now empty, and I am done with my book haul. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I know this feeling is the best in the world when you have a whole bunch of new books to look forward to, especially during this time of the year when I know that in a few weeks I will have all the time in the world to just relax and read and enjoy my books because of summer break. Thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, happy reading!